Hey, Intuitive Soul Tribe. Melissa, Intuitive Soul Coach here, excited to bring to you today's spirit message where we talk about flow versus control, how to navigate through discomfort and hardships. Welcome back to my channel if you are returning, and welcome if you are new. If you are interested in a personal reading or entering into the free monthly reading giveaway, you can find both of those links in the description box below. All right, so for those of you that are not aware, every Saturday morning I get into a meditation, connect with spirit, and I ask, what does the beautiful intuitive soul tribe and community and those that are attracted energetically to this channel, what do they need to know at this time? What messages can help uplift the planet, uplift the frequency and energies? And the first thing I got was letting go and flowing, because there's so much control, there's so much fear, because ultimately that's what control is. It comes from a lower vibration that can be about fear, lack of, not having enough, whether that's not having enough money, whether it's not having enough stability. It is all about attachments, and attachments can be something that really hold us to a situation, whether it's trauma, whether it's a relationship, whether we feel attached to even the people that we love that are crossing over. We feel this strong sense of attachment because we live in this physical earthly plane where it can certainly be easier to attach ourselves to things than it is on the spirit world. So today we'll talk about steps that you can take to help you go more with the flow. So you may want to get out a piece of paper if that is your thing. Maybe make a cute little bullet point list with some highlighters, just if you want. But we're going to talk about how to release some of those attachments, some of those anxieties, and go more with the flow instead of feeling constant fight or flight, stress, or anxiety on even a daily basis. And first of all, I want to remind you, beautifuls, that you chose to incarnate into this lifetime right here, right now. That wasn't an easy task. For a lot of souls, they chose to not incarnate because they knew that there was going to be a lot of changes, a lot of shifts happening, that there was going to be a lot of fear-based energy, but ultimately it was going to lead to a greater evolution, a higher planetary shift. And that's what's happening here for you. So even though you may find yourself faced with more challenges than you've had in the past, or sometimes you wonder, what the heck was I thinking when I signed up for this lifetime? Again, pat yourself on the back, because you are here right now, and your energy alone is contributing to this planetary shift that we are in currently. So as I was sitting in meditation and I was connecting, I asked Spirit, what do we need to know at this time to help us contribute to this uplifting of energy, help us go through these, and go through the changes. And I got immediately going more with the flow by embracing the change instead of resisting, because when we resist, we actually create that panic, that fear, that anxiety. So it's really important to embrace change. And some of you may be saying, well, Melissa, how do I embrace this? Does that mean I must open arms, say, yes, I'm so grateful this happened? No, not necessarily. We can't just think our way in a new direction. I mean, obviously, beliefs are a huge, huge part of manifesting and staying optimistic, and that's wonderful, but we can't just avoid, neglect, or look in a different direction when we have these challenges happen. So it's important for us to embrace these things and remember, first and foremost, that you are a soul that chose to have these experiences here on earth. So if you are going through a challenge, whether it's minor, whether it's major in your world, whether it's something external that's out of your control, whether it's on a collective global level, whatever it is here, we tend to feel that fear, especially when so many individuals pool into that collective energy of fear, and then that can lower the vibration of the planet. But the reason why a lot of us light workers have been called to speak about, to be inspirational leaders, to heal, to open ourselves up to a spiritual path, or even if you work in a regular 9-to-5 job as an accountant, your presence matters, because you just raising your vibration helps raise the vibration of the planet. So it's very important for you to realize that you don't have to be a Reiki master. You don't have to be a healer, although a lot of you may certainly be called to do these things here in this lifetime, or at least do them on the side, whether it's personal life, professional life, or you may be called to look more into the spiritual side of things for answers. And I do feel like a lot of people are going in that direction, but they're coming from a place of trusting in their own inner path. Because when we come down to earth, we forget, right? We forget about our past lives. We forget about our soul purpose. And we may feel like we don't have a map, right? But we do. We have that inner navigational system within. And sometimes we disconnect from that because we feel immediate fear. We feel lost. Think about yourself when you are on a back road, or you're going from one state to another, and maybe you're in a big city that you've never been at. Imagine a time before GPS when you had to actually look at a map, or you had to write down directions from Yahoo Maps and hope that you would find your way to your location. Remember the panic that would arise if you took a wrong turn and you got lost on maybe a barren street, and it looked like it was a shady side of the tracks, right? And there was a lot of fear. So sometimes what happens is when we come down to earth here, we get lost and we lose our footing, and we have that moon energy show up where we don't quite know what's coming, and it leaves us in that panic and it leaves us in that fear. But that's why we have that intuition, right? To help lead us towards the light, instead of panicking, thinking, oh my gosh, I have to lock all my doors. I can't get out of the vehicle. It's dark all around me. The car doesn't start. All these things start to pile up. Instead, when we stay calm and we can go more with the flow instead of panic and stress, then if you were to look up from your vehicle, you may see that there was a sign blinking off and on where it said, go in this direction, or maybe it was a lantern or a light on the street that you were illuminated the street name, and that was actually the street you needed to be on. So when we do not panic, we're able to have these signs and these symbols, not just in the physical world, such as a light sign, but from a spiritual sense as well. We can tune in, and that can lead us to more clarity, more light. So let's dive into the cards here and see what's showing up. You have brilliant beliefs, and we just talked about beliefs as well. So of course, saying to yourself in that situation where you're lost, you can't say to yourself, well, I'm just going to close my eyes and wish to be out of this situation and I'm going to teleport, right? I mean, yeah, we can astral travel, but when we get back from our trip, we're still going to be in that same spot where we are lost, right? So it's important to have the belief system that can help you through the challenge, but also to remain calm. You may believe to yourself at that time, yes, I'm in this situation. I feel panic. That may be your first initial response and reaction, because remember, you are a soul having a human experience, and the human experience right away based on maybe something that's happened in the past. Maybe you've been lost. Maybe as a small child, your mother let your hand go for just a moment and you ended up lost, and that's a triggering experience, right? We have these things that pile on, and they can come back up in our lifetime. So it's important to acknowledge, yes, I'm in this situation. I realize that there's panic, but I need to remain calm and go with the flow. And I believe my belief system here is going to help me stay calm, help me navigate, and allow me to move more with flow and get myself out of this situation that may be challenging, maybe stressful, maybe worrisome, or filled full of anxiety. This is about luminous life force energy, and that's what you are precisely made of. It says here, this is about your personal power. So when you tend to be tested or challenged more than usual, more than normal, or if you tend to have trauma experiences that show up again and again and again, Because that's ultimately what post-traumatic stress is, right? It's where we remember, the body remembers a situation that's happened. And even though we're not in that same energy that same environment, the body remembers it and it brings about that traumatic experience. And it's like we're right back in that place over and over again. But this is about you tuning into your beautiful life force energy and using that personal power to navigate through the other side with more ease and more flow. So right away here, we'll keep going with the cards, but they're giving me ways and steps. So if you want to jot this down, you certainly can. Ways to navigate with more ease, with more flow. For one, it's important to release control the best possible way you can. And for some of you who have, maybe you're 50 years old, maybe you're 90 years old, maybe you're 20, but you've been either a perfectionist, because that can be a form of control. We need to perfect our environment, keep everything perfect, right? As I'm a Libra as well, but excuse me, you can see I like things to be aligned, right? But there is a point of control that we really need to work on releasing instead of worrying about what this person is doing or what that person thinks of us or how we are coming off. I always like to say this as staying within your own lane. If you are on a 5-lane highway and you decide to get distracted, right, and you are focusing on what that driver's doing over there, you're not looking at what's in your own lane, and that can cause disaster. That could cause a wreck, right? It can cause us to veer off into another lane and hit someone else, and then that spirals. So it's important for us to remain within our own lane, control the things, of course, that we can, but if it's outside of your control, it's not going to help you to worry or focus what's going on in that 5th lane over there. Yes, there may be a car doing, 150 over here, and it's something that you may be worried about. But if they're over there, in your focus, what you're doing is you're contributing to this energy, and it can create disaster, right? So focusing on the things that you are able to focus on, whether, it is you taking care of yourself. Those are the things you can control. Your response, your actions to situations as well, but embracing the emotions that show up, okay? Because sometimes we tend to shove away an emotion. We tend to suppress. We've been taught, don't cry, stand up for yourself, or rub some dirt in that wound, right? Or maybe you've been told you're too sensitive or too emotional, or you have to be strong. These are things that are ingrained within us from a lot of times very, very young ages. And then we have this sense of we need to be in control because we can't do this and we should do this and we can't go over there and we need to focus here, but we really need to take care of this. So you have all of these things coming at you. So you may say, okay, Melissa, well, it's easier said than done. How can we release control? How can we focus on just staying within our own lane? Focus on the thoughts that are coming in first and foremost from that third party standard. We have that little voice within that's always going in overdrive, right? It's either saying you walk out into the nature and you say, oh, look at that tree. There's a bird over there. That looks really nice. And then maybe you see a person walking by and they're yelling at their child to tie their shoe, and you may get judgment or criticism, and you may say, well, that person's being really mean to their child. I would never do that. And then you walk by and you trip over a rock and you say, oh my gosh, that stupid rock shouldn't have been there, right? So you're going on and on and on and on. Just pay attention. That's your homework assignment. Just pay attention to the thoughts that are showing up. Don't immediately try to, get rid of them. Don't tell yourself or scold yourself, well, I shouldn't have just had that judgment about that person, right? I want you to just acknowledge what the majority of your beliefs, your emotions, and your thoughts are, because once you have a vision of what it is that you are telling yourself, then you can focus on how to reprogram, how to shift that energy into Being aware. That's the reason why we have that inner voice, is to help us feel in control of our circumstances, right? But it's also based on our own lens of things that have happened. Someone may say, wow, that person just yelled at their kid. And to another person who maybe grew up in an energy that was domestic violence, or maybe they grew up being spoiled, they may think completely different things. So it's okay to embrace and have these emotions. But if you are spending a lot of time with negative self-talk or fear-based energies, that person with the kid, they're going to come after me, right? Or they're going to try to trip me, or they're going to throw, that little kid's going to be mean and throw rocks out there that I'm going to trip over. So pay attention to what's coming into your awareness. And then once you are aware of what's coming in, then you can siphon through some of those things and say, wow, did I really just spend my entire day focusing on all the bad things that could happen? Or all the things that were outside of my control? And then you can take one baby step towards reprogramming and telling yourself a new story. So next here we have tenderness. This is about true love and compassion. So when we decide to tell ourselves that new story, we need to do it with more tenderness, more compassion, more care, more empathy. We need more of that in this world. And a lot of you may be thinking, oh, Melissa, it hurts too much to open up, right? It hurts too much to wear our heart on our sleeve or to care. But I can guarantee, beautiful souls, when you open your heart up to that highest level of love, when you open yourself up and expect nothing in return, you're going to get it back tenfold. And you will notice that the more you smile at another, that smile is going to be reciprocated. Well, hopefully it will be. Sometimes not. You'll smile and get a skull in return, but don't let that stop you from smiling at the next person, right? This is about you being compassionate and kind, not just with the people around you, not just saying, wow, I'm not going to bring judgment and criticism, because that's a big thing that's showing up as well. Really judging and criticizing, because ultimately that comes from a place of fear and conditioning. So if you find yourself in that category, you may want to look at, like I said, that voice, that carefully woven voice that comes in to help us not just be aware or to try to control what's going on around us, but be aware if you are judging certain things. Maybe you're judging that tree over there, or judging that rock for getting in your way. Are you being the victim, or are you just letting things flow and becoming aware? Wow, that's a beautiful tree over there. Oh, I'm noticing that there's a family walking by with their child. I'm noticing that there's rocks in the path. I'm going to step around them. I'm noticing that there are sprinkles that are showing up on my arm. Just staying aware instead of having to depict every single thing is going to help you go more with the flow, instead of feeling like you're controlling, judging, or criticizing it, including the things with your own self. Tenderness, that's what this energy is all about. You've chose to come here and bring more compassion, more lighthearted energy, and more love to the world in all different forms. We have here, river of blessings, release constraints. So take a look at the areas that constrain you. So for example, if you are on that walk, right, out in nature, and you tell yourself, I have a fear of bridges. I have a fear of water. I'm going to not go over that threshold because I'm fearful of it. Then you can take a look at the root. Why do I have a fear? Maybe you were thrown out into the water by your dad at 2 years old, and it was a traumatizing experience for you. Perhaps you had a past life where you drowned, right? There could be so many reasons for having a fear of bridges or having a fear of water. So I'm not saying that you have to bulldoze and go jump in the water, although sometimes that can be the trick, is facing fear head on. But take a look and see where those feelings and emotions are coming from. Embrace that. Say, yes, I am fearful of this situation. I had gone through an experience, and the emotion that it left behind was A, B, or C, right? But you don't have to let that be your experience every single time. You can work through that, especially the more that you are aware of it. Okay, so releasing constraints. If there's fear about money, Okay, maybe you tell yourself, if you pay attention to that self-talk, and that self-talk is, I don't have enough money, I'm not going to be able to pay the bills, I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck, I feel like my car is going to break down, the power is going to go out, I'm going to be short this check because I didn't work this hour, I had to take my kids to school. If you pay attention, and the majority of those thoughts that you are having are in the negative, right? We want to start focusing on bringing those thoughts to the green. We'll talk green and red here. So red is probably down here. Red is that stop. We want to stop doing that, right? And that green is a go. That's more flow. So green is flow. Red is control. And if you feel like you are being controlled by a situation, whether it's money, because that's an energy, whether it is, a situation at work, whether it's money, whether it's a relationship, whether it is a fear-based thought pattern that you're telling yourself over and over, those all qualify as constraints that hold you back from truly manifesting what it is that you want in your world. So once you are aware that those are the repetitive thoughts that you tell yourself, you can catch yourself when you start to think those things and say, okay, I'm going to change the story. Because again, yes, you may say, Melissa, you sound counterintuitive. You're saying you can't think your thoughts in this new direction. But what you can do, beautiful souls, is raise that vibration, raise that frequency from that red of control, of fear, of anxiety, into that green of flow, and say, I have enough, well, in this case, literally green, I have enough green to pay these bills, right? I have enough currency. I have enough money. I am going to pay my bills this month. So sometimes I have recommended this in the past, and it has worked for a few people, but of course, please take it as it resonates for you. You can wear a rubber band on your hand, and every time you have one of those fear-based energies, a thought pattern or a habit, something that you do that gets you in that red, right? I want you to snap that rubber band. Now, of course, don't go all crazy and leave big marks on your hand or anything like that, but just snap it so it gives you that little bit of a shock, right? And you're thinking, wow, I need to change that. I don't want to feel that pain, right? And then I want you to change that thought process to, wow, I'm going to think of how I can reframe that, or how I can completely flip the script from red to green here. So you can do that with that rubber band, if that resonates with you. And then I'm also getting here, in order to practice detachment. And that may be what we have showing up here as well with miracles. We have miracles. And I'm getting here practicing detachment. They keep saying that over and over. We get so attached to things, to people, to money, to situations. And sometimes that detachment in itself, it serves and acts like the devil energy, right? The devil in tarot is all about attachments. It can be, obsessions to a person, to a place, to a thing. It can be fears. It can be feeling manipulated where we don't have a say. It can be codependent upon money, so we have to stay in a toxic environment, right? It can be about materialism. We want to have this, and this, and we have to have the best of everything. We're attached to our home. We're attached to our children. We're attached to our things. There was a really beautiful thing that I read one time, a really beautiful story about Wayne Dyer, how he ended up getting rid of, not even selling, but donating or getting rid of all of his items, all of his books, everything, and just packing up what he had on his back and moving to Maui, moving to Hawaii. And he said it was one of the biggest releases that he's ever had in his life. And think about how good you feel when you purge old clothes in your closet, or you go around your house and you get rid of maybe the books or the cassettes. I mean, I guess who has cassettes these days, but it could be anything that you don't use, or that's just gathered dust, right? You feel good. You have a new sense of brand new energy coming in. When we can do that ourselves, that's when the universe really brings in those miracles. And miracles aren't just something that show up out of the blue, right? As we've grown accustomed to think. A miracle is when an angel comes in and you should have died in this accident, but you're not. Miracles show up on a daily basis when we choose, right? We have that free will when we choose to detach from things because that allows us to go more with the flow. Now, I'm not saying, beautiful souls, to get rid of everything and go backpacking unless you feel called to do that. But this can be about letting go of attachments. If you are in constant fear that you are in a relationship and your partner is going to cheat on you, right? Are you enjoying the moment, or are you living in a past experience? Maybe you were cheated on before. Maybe it's been by that person. Maybe there was something difficult. Maybe you watched your dad cheat on your mom. So you have this ingrained, and you have that fear-based energy that this is going to happen. And what you're doing is you're taking away that moment of being in the relationship, being in it for what it is at that time. And being in it is the gift. That's being in the present, right? So if you are constantly in fear and attached to that scenario that's going to happen, then you're missing out. You're missing out, and you're not truly living or experiencing. And if that were to happen, okay, not saying that's never going to happen just because you're not thinking it, but if that happens, then you deal with it then you embrace that. But that's what worry is. Worry and anxiety is when we are constantly thinking about a situation that hasn't happened because we're worried that it is going to happen. And then it takes our peace away. It takes our serenity. It takes us by control, right? It attaches to us, and we feel it at times. It's inevitable to let go of that pain or something that's happened. And you may say, well, how do I release that? How do I let go? The same way I was just talking before about noticing, acknowledging, and being aware that these are the thought processes that happen. And then tell yourself, is this liberating me? Is this putting me in the green, or is it putting me in the red? Is it destroying my inner peace where I don't want to even talk to my partner? Or maybe I'm starting to dream that they're doing these things. Or maybe my mental head is getting the best of me and I'm making up things that they're actually doing, but they're not doing it at all, right? And then we start to spiral and we try to grab on to the situation, and then we push away, but we actually push them away, and then we think that there is something wrong. So it's like we're catastrophizing things before they even happen. So the more that we can practice detachment, dealing with things as they come, that is the true nature of going with the flow. Instead of trying to control it before it's even happened, causes us so much more anxiety, stress, and grief than we could have ever imagined. And the miracle lies within the flow. All right. Next we have here, divine feminine. This is all about receptive power, receiving, right? It's opening ourselves up, because when we come from a place of fear, we tend to shut down at times. We shut down thinking, well, if I shut down my heart, I won't get hurt. That is the opposite of what we should be doing, because a lot of times it's within that pain that we truly evolve, that we truly learn, that we truly grow. So embrace the divine feminine. Whether you are male or female, it doesn't matter. You could be a hardcore female who is, I'm independent, I'm strong, I'm keeping my heart closed because I don't want to be hurt, and I have everything myself, and I can control this circumstance, and I'm not going to let this person in. And you feel like you have it all together. But really, do you have it all together, right? Are you living your happiest, most joyful life? Or do you just have up this wall that's up to your chin that's unbearable, that it feels lonely and it feels isolating, but you feel it's a sense of control because therefore you cannot get hurt? That is missing out on the beautiful life experiences that we chose to come here to Earth to have. Now, of course, we've all been through those moments where we want to shut down. We feel pain. We feel challenged. This is about being open to that receptive power. You can see here that she has her hands up and she has that universal life force energy flowing through her. And it's important for you to let it flow through you as well, because sometimes when we are trying to control a situation, we shut down our heart chakra. We don't feel empowered. Therefore, we start to manifest disease. We start to have digestion issues. We start to gain weight in the stomach area. We start to feel anxiety in our chest, like there's an elephant sitting on there that will not get up day after day after day, because we are not receiving when it is our birthright to tune in and connect to this universal tap, right? This life force energy. But we disconnect because of those obsessions, because of those attachments, because of those fears. Next, we have circle of eternal joy. And this is the beauty of what we've been talking about, is happiness can come and go, right? Happiness can be fleeting. You feel happy that you got that raise, or you feel happy that you found the person that you want to marry. But true joy is living in flow, right? And when we can manage our stress levels, because I can guarantee you we're always going to feel some sort of, up and down, right? We're going to feel some sort of challenge at times that will come up against. But when we can focus on stress management, now you can do that by exercising, eating healthier foods, getting out in nature, reaching out to friends, to families, to therapists, coaches, healers. When we can truly trust and surrender and stay open, right here, stay open to all of those life blessings, then we go with the dance of life. Then we go with that eternal joy. That's joy. That joy is what we strive to bring in, regardless of what we come up against, regardless of what's going on in our outer world. So if you can practice those things that we talked about, that's going to help you go more with the flow instead of feeling panic and chaos about the things that are happening around you and even the things that are outside of your control. We have timelessness. Timelessness. A lot of us here on earth, because we are accustomed to being born and dying, because we have a clock system, a 24-hour period, right? We have to have a beginning, we have to have an end, we have 7 days of the week. Timing is so ingrained in this earthly plane that we feel like we don't have enough of it. Divine timing. On the other side, there is no time, right? We feel like we're in a rush. They're giving me that song. I'm in a hurry to get things done. Rush and rush until life's no fun. It's not fun anymore when we are constantly running ourselves empty. Like that Energizer battery feels like it can keep going and going and going, but eventually those batteries are going to wear out. And this is a very, very powerful shift here where you can go with the dance of life, go with the flow, enjoy family time, sit at the dinner table with your family. What I do every time we eat dinner together, which I like to do that every night, we do what's called the peak and the pit. And 3 things we're grateful for. So we always do the highlight of our day, which is the peak. We do the pit, which was a lower point of our day, because it's important to talk about those challenges as well, right? Not just to shove them aside and pretend that they didn't happen. Talk about the high point, the low point, and then 3 things you're grateful for, because it keeps you in the moment, right? It keeps you interacting, communication. So instead of feeling like you have to be on your phone while you are trying to have dinner with your family because you may miss out on that email, really focus on spending more time in the present, right? In the moment, in the present, because that ultimately is the gift. Because all these things that we feel like we're speeding up, or we don't have enough time, or we're running out of time, or we have to get this done. Remember, all of those things you don't take with you when you cross over. You can't stick all of that in your casket. You can't stick all of that on your deathbed and it's sitting there and you're saying, I'm so glad, I had that moment where I spent all that time doing that instead of being with loved ones, or instead of focusing on my passion or my dreams. And some of you may be saying, well, Melissa, it's so much easier said than done. I have bills to pay. I have a 9-to-5. I'm working another job. I have 5 kids. Yes, I get it. We have busyness. We have responsibilities. But there's this feeling of panic and overwhelm that we will not get it all done, or we have to be 15 million different people, right? We have to wear so many different hats. And the more that you can focus on that stress management, right? The more you can reach out, ask for help, the more you can surrender and say, it really does take a village. It really does take a communal energy. When we have that built-in belief that we have to do everything ourselves, I get it. I've been there, especially if you're an only child, or if you were someone who has taken care of your family when roles are reversed and you should have been taken care of, right? And you've been in situations that you've had to be and do everything on your own. It can become ingrained within you. I got it. Nope, I don't need a hand. I can carry all 15 grocery bags on each side. I'm strong. Look at these. Get tickets to the gun show, right? No, I mean, yes, it's good to have healthy ego, but it's also good to be receptive. And that's what this energy is all about with this divine feminine, being open to saying it's okay to not want to or have to do everything on your own. But we come so accustomed to that we seclude ourselves, segregate ourselves, and we get detached from that communal love, that life force energy of what's going on around. That's why sometimes you see that when tragedy strikes, I mean, I live in a town that's, it's not super huge, but it's not the smallest of towns, but tragedy has struck this town more than once in huge ways. And every time tragedy strikes, the community comes together, whether it's for a candlelit vigil, whether it is for, a coming together to show support. We shouldn't have to feel like we have to go through a very difficult, negative, challenging situation to come together, right? Even though that's wonderful that we do that, but we should come together even before things get to that level, right? We should open the door for our neighbor, be able to help them out, be able to support, trust. And yes, I realize some of you are saying, Melissa, those days are gone, right? But there is a shift in the planet right now, right in this very moment, where we are raising our vibrations and we're opening up to love and compassion. And the more that you can contribute your own energy, the more you heal yourself, the more you heal the world, the more you contribute and uplift. What else do we have here? Achievement. Yes, the more you will feel achievement as well. Look at this. It is the white buffalo. The white buffalo is a very, very powerful force. And this is about achievement, whether it's spiritual achievement, personal achievements. And even though we live in this life, it is a physical, earthly realm that we live in. So it's okay to have physical achievements as well. It's okay to celebrate that you just got that raise, that promotion, that home, that vehicle. You have a certain amount of money that you would like to save. This is about putting in the effort, right? Effort plus intention. So when it comes to those goals that you have for yourself, when you set yourself up for success, when you set your beliefs to, I am powerful, I can manifest, I have what it takes, right? Then you're going to see that sense of achievement. But it first starts from within. We need to be able to flow, embrace the law of attraction, because when we resist, when we have fear, when we try to manipulate, when we try to obsess about it, it actually blocks the flow of what we want to come to us. And then we say, why isn't it coming to us, right? Why have I been going through these challenges? Why am I not achieving what it is that I want? Take a look and see if you're letting things flow, or if there is some sort of resistance, some sort of control, whether it's a tiny bit or a whole lot. Next we have here sacred gratitude, reverence, appreciation, and prayer. This is an attitude of gratitude as well. One thing I make a habit, daily habit every single day, not just with my family doing the 3 things we're grateful for, but I also have a gratitude journal, which I put everything under the blue moon because I truly am grateful for these things. I'm grateful for, some would call, wow, that's silly. You're really grateful for this new deck of cards that you just got today? Absolutely I am, right? This excites me. You're grateful for that tree in the backyard? Absolutely, right? So the more that you bring gratitude into your world, the more you're going to shift your frequency and your vibration, the more abundance you'll be able to tap into. So this sacred gratitude is about sending up a prayer of gratitude, sending up a prayer of thanks through the challenges, through the good things as well, through the achievements, through the failures, all of it, because every single piece of it made you who you were today, who you are today. So practice the gratitude journal. That can really help you, even if it's writing it down or saying it every day. Before you get out of bed, before your feet touch that ground, what are 3 things you're grateful for today? And if you're struggling finding what it is you're grateful for, you know, a lot of times I say I'm grateful for my hands, especially the other day I was doing something. I think I reached into the oven and I pulled it out and, there was a little piece of the skin showing and I bumped it on the oven and it burned. And I said to myself that day, I'm so grateful for my hands, right? I'm so grateful because I use my hands in my everyday daily work. And I'm grateful that I have these hands because some people do have burns, right? Some people have no fingers. Some people have no hands. Some people, there's certain certain situations that we take for granted. And maybe it's not hands, it could be a bed, right? Some people don't have beds to sleep in. Sometimes they don't have ovens to cook their food in. So regardless, sometimes those things come in and remind us and teach us that we should be grateful for the things that sometimes we overlook, or we overthink, we take we take advantage of. So sacred gratitude is a big piece of letting things flow instead of being in control at every second. And actually, as I said that, I gave that backyard tree, and look at, she actually has her hand on that tree. And that's something you can do as well. I did mention getting out in nature. If you need to ground your energy, beautiful souls, and you're feeling a lot of stress, a lot of chaos, go up to a tree just like she's doing and tune into the life force energy of that tree. You can see that her hand there is magnetized in red. So again, we just talked about the red and the green. So if you're feeling too much red in your energy, too much control, touch this tree, because that's going to bring you more into that literally green, as trees are green. So I love this analogy here for you. Let's see what else we have showing up for you. We have awakening, energetic upgrades, a new way of being, and we have here integration. This is all about spiritual awakening. It is about awareness. Awareness is key. That is a pivotal piece, along with action and belief, of course. But in order for us to take action, in order for us to change our belief system, we must become aware. We must become awakened. I'm also getting here resources and education, knowledge. Knowledge is power, right? Knowledge is freedom. When we learn more about something, we can trust more. We can feel like we can surrender to whatever it is. The more that we learn, whether it's through self-help books, whether it's about maybe psychology, it could be learning about another person, maybe their past experience can help us understand. If you are struggling to understand and it's causing resistance, it's causing fear. Let's say you work in an environment and you don't know how to maybe create a spreadsheet, right? And you're not sure, and everybody else seems to be able to create a spreadsheet on the blink of a dime, and it's something that you feel insecure about. You're not able to do it. Maybe go to YouTube or sign up for a Microsoft Excel course. Take that course, educate yourself so you feel more ready, so you feel more empowered, so you have that knowledge to not feel like you're left out in the blue, right? So you're able to function and do what you're supposed to do, but you feel confident about it. So it doesn't just have to be a class or education in that sense, but it could be self-help. It could be spirituality. So education, knowledge can really help you feel more confident about something that you may have feared. Because what's the biggest thing that humans could fear is embracing the unknown. That's why a lot of people go to readers. That's why a lot of people look, because they want to know what's coming in so they can prepare themselves. That's knowledge, right? Even if it's, it's free will. This isn't set in stone here. Tarot is not set in stone. It's just a navigational spiritual tool that you can utilize that can help you flow. There's the key here, flowing on your journey, but ultimately you have free will to choose. So sometimes if people say, well, that doesn't flow, well, good, don't force it, don't make it fit. But if it does flow, embrace it and utilize that energy. So I'm just getting here education, resources, and knowledge. We also have here, Imrama, what are you being called to journey to? So there is a journey here for you. What are you being called to do? What direction? If you want to do something, but you see that you have some sort of restraints, some sort of attachments, focus on cutting those attachments, seeking it out, educating yourself more about it, getting in touch, reaching out to other like-minded individuals that can help you detach or help you gain the knowledge so you can yourself detach from it. Next, we have transformation. Things are changing at a cellular level. Deep healing. Absolutely. There is a deep healing going on with beautiful planet Earth right now, and you are a very, very big piece of it. Wonderful souls. So transformation, you're going through this personal shift you've been undergoing for quite some time. And sometimes I get people commenting and they say, Melissa, I've been on this streak for the last 20 years and no one loves me. I'm not with, anyone. I've been trying to manifest this. The universe hates me, right? They start to let themselves become bitter instead of better. You have a choice here, free will, transformation. Do you want to become better or bitter? But the choice is yours. No one can make that for you, beautiful souls. And lastly here, we have the Great Gathering. It's all coming together. I love it. This is your final card as well. And I could go on and on and on and on. And I may pull some soul purpose cards here at the end as well. But we have the Great Gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits and soul tribe, which is what I love to call you, beautifuls. This is the intuitive soul tribe here. So it is all coming together. And if you're still listening this far, know that you are a very, very big part of this shift. And pat yourself on the back because you've chose again to incarnate at a very, very, very important part of this human history here. And your soul is wise, your soul is brave, and your soul came here to challenge yourself and to experience it all. So make sure you experience it instead of living in that fear, instead of living in that worry, because then you take away from the precious moments, even though that some are good, some are bad, some are way off the charts, and some bring more bliss and joy than you could have ever imagined. This is a really, really powerful time for you to embrace, go with the flow the best you can, and work through any of the discomfort and hardships. Now, last but not least, we're going to take a look at the soul truth and see what additional steps you can take, beautiful souls, to connect you more to flow versus control. All right, flow versus control. What do we have here? All right, the first one out, I really love this. When was the last time I couldn't stop laughing or smiling? That's the thing. This day and age, everything has become so serious and we forget to take time out to have fun, just to play, to go ice skating, to go rollerblading, to go walk out in nature, to enjoy time with our children, with our grandchildren, to go down that slide, to be pushed on a swing, to release that inner child. Go back to a moment when you laughed so hard. Feel the laughter grow in your body, your cheeks hurting and your eyes watering. Maybe there was even a snort or two. Laughter is healing. It reminds us to take life less seriously and find the joy in the littlest things. Note to self, laugh more often. Today's soul action, make someone laugh today. You can also visit laughing yoga. It really is a thing. You can read the funnies in the newspaper, or go to Google and search funny dad jokes if you want. Watch videos on animals. Bring about more laughter into your world and truly listen to another human being. So many times we listen to respond, we listen to react, we don't truly listen to understand. So if you have that rush energy, pay attention to conversations you have with others as well, because that can help you get more in the flow, more in the present. You have here, am I getting enough rest to restore my energy and fully show up to my life? You are the asset, beautiful souls. This body is your vehicle. Notice how your body is feeling, how much sleep you are getting, and what you can do to help your body rest. Today's soul action, take a bath, put on some lavender essential oil, go to bed ridiculously early, or give yourself a timeout today. Notice your body thanking you. Today's mantra, the more I give myself permission to rest, the more I can contribute. I've noticed even with my own energy at times that because there's such a shift and I'm so in tune to what's going on and I can feel it, sometimes my body says, Melissa, you just need to go to bed early, or you just need this extra sleep. And I honor my body. I don't push it until until I pull a hip out, or until I stub my toe, or I'm forced. I try to really tune in and rest and restore so I can be the best version of me for you all, for my family, for my loved ones, for my community, right? This is about you showing up by restoring yourself to the fullest instead of feeling like you're being pulled in all different directions. And last but not least, are you focused, beautifuls, on what you want most? One reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. We never concentrate our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. That's a quote by Tony Robbins. So it's important to have goals. It's important to believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, believe in your passions, take action, head towards them as well. What you focus on grows. Today, ask yourself, is my life a reflection of my values? Or do I need to make adjustments? It's time to prioritize. When you focus on what you want, when you get into that energy here of flow, get out in nature, meditate more, focus on stress management techniques, educate yourself, tune into resources, trust and surrender. You're going to move with more flow and you're going to start to bring more joy. Remember the beautiful words of joy. It's everlasting. It's something that we can constantly feel and joy regardless of external circumstances or what's coming in at us. When we are in that constant state of joy, it doesn't mean that we're never going to have a challenge, right? That we're never going to feel down, that we're never going to have another loss or another moment of pain, but we can maintain that sense of joy for the things that even bring us a challenge, the things that bring us pain as well. So I hope this resonates. I hope this helps you focus on going more with the flow instead of trying to control things, or instead of letting anxiety, fears, and constraints hold you back from achieving what it is that you truly desire. And those human experiences that you've chose to have here on earth, remember that you are not what happened to you. It was just an experience. When you carry that trauma, you tell yourself over and over, that's what I am. That's what I need to carry. That's what I need to respond to. That's how I need to react. Tell yourself in that moment when you have a trigger that you've had that experience, but that is not who you are, that you just chose to have that emotion. You chose to have that experience, but you don't have to hang on to it. The body doesn't have to store it and replay it out over and over. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the present. Make sure that the things that you are doing in your life hit more of that green energy instead of the red. Pay attention and have awareness for what is lying red within your energy field. Shift that, focus on that, and bring that vibration up to that green, and you will see big, beautiful miracles happening in your world. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like these messages, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button. Feel free to share, like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell. Thank you so much. Lots of love.